really nervous, sorry. So my name's Kira, I'm in grade 11 visual art, and I'm just gonna jump right into this. So my subconscious tends to be the main conductor when it comes to making my art. So like rather than writing up a concept, then finding a way to represent that concept on a physical plane, I work the opposite way. So my method of work is to figure out the art piece's final presentation first, and then to develop its concept. And my best ideas often occur at around like 1 o'clock in the morning, in bed, half asleep, which sort of seemed to be this like oddly mentally productive point in the day for me. And it just sort of felt like that the opening of that window of time comes with a brief turning point in my mind where my governing manipulative conscious thought can be overpowered by my more honest intuitive thought. So developing ideas originating from subconsciously introspective thought has been a lot more effective for me. Before realizing this, I really struggled to make art during my first few years at ESA. I somehow convinced myself that I didn't have anything to make art about since I was perfectly happy with where and how I was in the world. When I actually did make art, it had little to no personal connection to me at all. And I never really knew how to develop a concept without truly consulting myself. When everything changed for me was when I was in grade 10, when I finally just decided to give up and develop the appearances and construction processes for pieces without any boundaries of concept at all. I actually came to realize that I do have problems and I can be unhappy, which doesn't really sound great, but it's great for me personally. I also realized that the intuition-based pieces that I make are expressions of my subconscious, which is a place that I've learned holds my most inner monologue. Although my mirage of vapid happiness had disappeared, I gained an interesting and engaging method of learning about myself and the problems and opinions I never even realized I had. The first time I realized how effective this method of work was when I created these modified teddy bears last October. The first thing I thought of when Miss Raymond introduced the Grotesque Project was, I want to put a dick on something. So then, after that idea kept me up at night for a few days, I came up with this. At first, there was no concept at all. I was just humored by the juxtaposition of sexualized parts of the human body on the innocence of a stuffed toy. But after doing a couple rounds of concept sketches, introspection, and self-evaluation, I learned that these pieces speak about the boundlessness of gender identity and how gender roles are often inflicted on children at such early stages in life. Ever since the Grotesque Project, everything just seemed to work out for me. In general, my work reflects on experiences I've had during my childhood and their connecting qualities to problems, fears, or situations in my current life. My pieces consist of a question asked through its concept or physical being, and I, in turn, aim to receive an answer or hopefully a connection to whom that is consuming my art. I'm trying to gain connections or relationships with people through personal experiences of the human condition, and to learn and grow from the fears and problems I've developed over the years. To finally have an alternate way of expressing my feelings that's just as loud as if I were to explain them verbally is such a huge deal to me. I'm often quite a closed-off person, like one of those people who always has their ears open for others, but often forgets that others also have open ears of their own. I feel extremely uncomfortable sharing myself with others in person, and I didn't even bring my parents to this, so you can imagine just how nervous I am to be right up here, about to spill my guts to all of you, but here we go anyway. So this first photo series is one consisting of 5 different public parks I used to go to when I was a kid. And during the summer, you would definitely find me playing here, like almost every day with my family and friends. And as I got older, I began to visit them less, and soon after, I realized I just stopped visiting completely. And although there's no real reason for me to go back at my age now, I felt really guilty about just abandoning such a huge part of my life. As I wrote this, I realized that the guilt I'm experiencing might be linked to the lack of time I currently spend with my family and friends. The parks seem to act as a vessel for my connections with significant people in my life as a child, and I guess my lack of a modern vessel is what fuels my guilt. The bleak monochrome color scheme and more documentary method of shooting depicts a mourning of that vessel, but to revisit all the parks and rekindle my connections with them was really refreshing and reminded me of what qualities the play structures had that made them such a successful place of bonding. This is another photo series documenting a house that I used to be extremely afraid to walk by while coming home. When I was in middle school, the news broke out that a pedophile just moved into a house only a few doors down from my school. This man was charged with sexually assaulting several boys over a 20-year period. He was additionally charged for serving alcohol to minors and drugging his victims in order to stop them from resisting. That man had just completed his sentence, was pardoned, and was living in this house. The one to disclose this information to the neighborhood was one of his victims as well. His actions were accomplished illegally and without consent, which doesn't really matter considering they were children. So in turn, and out of frustration, I decided to get pictures of this house without his consent. Through the reclamation of the feeling of personal dominance and power within my own neighborhood resurfaced, it still makes me question if that desire for that feeling of power, of course, within two completely different contexts, is a trait him and I share, and it still haunts me. So this originated as a photo series, but can also exist as a sculpture, and it appears to be just a simple birthday cake with pink icing and 14 candles, except the only thing that nobody can really see is that it contains laxatives. This piece is the manifestation of my fear of burdening others with my problems and emotions of anything other than anything other than happiness. Ever since I was 14, I became afraid of telling people that I'm sad or angry or frustrated because I'm scared that they won't want to talk to me anymore, that they'll just associate those negative feelings with myself as a whole. I'm worried that people will react to me like they would react to finding out a colorful, inviting birthday cake has laxatives in it. And I doubt anyone would want to deal with the rather unfortunate and painful aftermath of investing yourself in a brief moment of interaction with this particular dessert. I'm a very empathetic person, and I believe that emotions are definitely contagious, so I always try to express what I personally would like to feel, even if that is not always the case. However, through this piece, I've learned that a balance between the two is crucial to the mental health of myself and the relationships around me. Sometimes it's shitty to let your shit out, but it's gotta happen eventually. So those are all the pieces that I've done so far, and I'm looking forward to make more art at ESA. Thank you for listening.